Hey, happy day, happy life, happy journey. Welcome to Walking the Path. This is John Jacob Mubarak, and I'm so grateful to be here with you. Thank you. So I'm doing a little simulcast here on Instagram over here, and on Facebook and YouTube over here. So I'm so glad to be here with you. Excuse on the Instagram side of life. I'm so grateful you guys are here. Hello. And I'm going to be improving this, but this is our setup today on the Facebook Live and YouTube platforms. Hey, how y'all doing? You guys, I am so excited. Guess what? I know last week I thought it was going to be my last Facebook Live for a while, but yay, Jerry asked if I would continue to do the Facebook Lives on Thursdays, and I'm super excited. Hey, D, wow, I'm so happy to be here with you guys. Woo-hoo. So what a week at Rhythmia again. Again, Rebecca from Toronto. Good to see you. Melissa Bell. Hello. I hope all is well with you. And so, okay, Rhythmia this week. Whew, man, more healing, more love, more. Oh, hi, how you doing? Thank you, Sylvia. Sylvia, our wonderful media maven here at Rhythmia, texted me and said, look up, you're talking to the computer, not to the camera. Thanks, Sylvia. You're awesome. So, okay. Each week at Rhythmia, something amazing happens. And as I was walking here to do this simulcast, two of the guests were talking, yelling to each other across the pool about Carl Jung. I thought, wow, it's like the third time Carl Jung came up today while being there. Tornado Joe, I know. I thought I'm taking the hiatus. Tornado Joe is on Facebook, and he said, I'll start putting these up. Now I know what to do. Let's see. Yeah, he said, I thought you were on. It's good to see you. It's good to see you too, brother. Jess, great to see you. Hello from Jess. Love from New York. So I'm still taking the hiatus from work for a few months, but I'm going to continue to do the Facebook Lives. So I'm super excited about continuing to do the Facebook Lives. I'm so happy. All right. So what I was talking about was this burgeoning consciousness that's happening here. People are talking about Carl Jung, which is so much, this shadow work is what we do in ayahuasca, in the work with the plant medicine, with these sacred plants. And it's also the work we do in breath work. And we do breath work at Rhythmia as well as plant medicine, the two most transformational things you can do. Why? Because both, hey, Debbie, aloha. I'm just going to start putting these up. Debbie says, aloha. Hey, brother. Hey, sister. So what happens in psychedelics and what happens in breath work is the default mode network is deactivated. It's taken offline. And the default mode network, there'll be more of that coming in the next couple of weeks as I talk more and more about what happens with the default mode network. But in psychedelics and in breath work, what's happening is that mode, that network is our ego. That network is where we go to be creative. That network is where we go for visioning, for wandering, ruminating. It's also the negative voice inside of our heads. It's the negative voice. I call it the evil stepmother. We all have that evil stepmother in us, right? That's like in the back of our head, the one that's always putting us down, the one that's always telling us that we should be cleaning the toilets instead of going to the ball with the rest of the girls or guys, right? That's the voice, the one that's always telling me I'm not enough. That voice, that is the evil stepmother in our heads, right? That's also the default mode network. So the default mode network is all of that. It also suppresses memories, because if we just had all these memories flooding us and all this stuff coming up, we'd be a mess, right? So the default mode network, it really is not good without my glasses. I was like, I'm going to do this without my glasses. Nope. So when the default mode network is taken offline, that's why with ayahuasca, psilocybin, all these other psychedelics, why these suppressed memories and visions and limiting beliefs, subconscious beliefs, subterranean beliefs come up. It's because the default mode network is taken offline and these things can emerge. it's also a sense of ego dissolution, right? It's that sense of oneness and unity and wholeness and just being one with life, that bliss state. That's also the default mode network being taken offline. So that's what's happening in plant medicine. That's what's happening in breath work. And that's also why, it's the access to the subconscious that Jung and Freud talked about, but they were talking about getting there through our dreams, which is, one way to do it, but really messy, and not very effective, not a very effective way. I mean, dream work is amazing, but just think about you analyzing your dreams versus you doing breath work or having a plant medicine session and getting clarity about something in a night, in a week, right? Just a different order, So that's what's happening at Rhythmia. People are coming and allowing these suppressed memories, suppressed emotions, limiting beliefs, old operating systems, allowing them to come offline so that these ideas can be released, these limiting beliefs can be released. So that's what's happening at Rhythmia. Call the number to come check us out because it's amazing work. Now, this is funny, Joe. Joe goes, so we're made to be miserable by default. Yes, that's actually very true, brother. We're made to be miserable by default. When we just let things roll without placing our awareness on them, yeah, that's a default. And our automatic, I think it's called the negativity bias, Brother Joe, negativity bias. And that's something from our amygdala, something from our fight or flight response, something from our primitive, primordial being, where we had to look for the negative. We had to look for that which can hurt, harm, or endanger us. So if I'm a monkey on a tree and I have to have my default mode network or I have to have my negativity bias on high. I want to see, are there snakes? Are there bugs? Are there tigers, lions, bears? Oh my, right? That's our default mode. So Ashe, Janice, grateful for your beneficial presence. I love you. Great to hear from you too. Amen and Ashe. Thank you, sister. So the negativity bias is our default. Joe, you're right. We're made to be miserable by default. Christopher Chamberlain, great to see you too, brother. Now, I want to get to the meat of this conversation because that was a little bit about what's going on at Rhythmia and what happens during plant medicine and breath work as a default mode network and, helping remove our negativity bias. But what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is this idea of no goals, right? Which is completely counterintuitive to everything that Western society tells us, right? Set goals, achieve them, right? And I'm not saying that we shouldn't, but the idea came, I was scrolling through Instagram and I just happened to read somebody talking about exercise. And they were talking about how movement, they just have to move. They just have to move their body. There's no goal. There's no end game in movement. They just have to scratch that itch. It's a lifetime practice. And you know how you hear things, I've heard that before, you've heard that before, but sometimes you hear something and it just clicks in a different way. That's what happened to me. I was like, oh my God. All of a sudden I could see, part of what we do at Rhythmia is show me who I've become. And part of who I've become is a perfectionist. And it's a need to be perfect in order to fit in, a need to be perfect in order to be accepted, a need to be perfect in order to belong. Right? My story was I don't belong. And now my story is get used to it. Right? I thought my story was I belong. No, the story is I don't belong. You know why? Because we're leaders and leaders aren't part of the crowd. Leaders are always walking ahead of the crowd. You're a leader in your life. You're a leader in your community. I bet you're the person in your family or in your community that's always like on the edge, always walking out. And people are like, I wonder what Janice is doing or Joe's doing or Debbie's doing. They're always out there doing something crazy, right? You're a leader. So we got to get used to not belonging, right? It's like we belong to not belonging. Because the rest of the crowd, we're walking ahead. We're walking into the unknown. That's what we're doing. That's what we're up to. So anyway, back to this idea, I read this thing about there's no goal. It's just a way of life. And I thought, I'm going to apply that. It just clicked, and I could see how I could apply it to all these other areas in my life, right? With my spirituality and my practice and my, all of so many things, like but more specifically about my body, right? Body image. Now, I here's how it was working in my head. I was trying to restart my regimen. I've been so Debbie just wrote, explain this to my family. That's about we're leaders and we're not going to belong. That's right. We got to get used to it. We're not going to belong. We're the leaders. We're going to be walking ahead. We're going to be walking into the unknown. Everybody else is going to follow. And that's who we are. And Melissa says, no goal to my practice. That would be different, right? That's it. That's it. Practical spirituality. This is really nice. Thanks, Christopher. It's a practice, right? There's no goal to it. It's just what we do every day, right? That changed everything for me. So all of a sudden, I was motivated to move my body, because what I realized was the need to be perfect was like, oh, I got to have a perfect body, because then I'll be liked and I'll find the love of my life and, all that stuff, right? And then, of course, that goal isn't going to be achieved by working out a few times or a week or 2 weeks. So then you start to get discouraged because, you're not getting that goal that you wanted. And then the discouragement turns into, fuck it, I'm just going to eat a bag of chips and wash that salty goodness down with some chocolate, because there's nothing like salt and chocolate, right? Am I right? I'm right. Okay. So by thinking of it like, oh, it's just my practice. It's just, there's no goal. I'm not doing this to lose weight. I'm not doing this to get ripped. I'm doing it because I got to move my body, because I feel better when I move my body. Now, these were all things that I knew before, but somehow reading what somebody else wrote on Instagram, it clicked for me. So I really thank that person. And then it started to I could see how more of who I've become about this perfectionist, more of this perfectionist personality, projected personality, who I think I need to be to get my needs met. I started to see, I had a whole new revelation. I want to share this with you. Hey, Mindy. And Janine says, working out makes your brain better. Absolutely. Working out has so many good benefits. Hey, sister, I'm glad to see you. Everybody, great to see you. Great to see you. So the other thing that I saw about who I've become in terms of the need to be perfect, and then that projected self, and who I think I need to be in order to get my needs met, in order to feel like I belong, in order to feel love, in order to, right, all of that. So I was talking to a friend of mine, we were having dinner, and he was telling me about how, he went to Catholic school here in Costa Rica. I went to Catholic school in the United States. And he was saying, he was always in trouble, got kicked out of every school he went to because he wouldn't submit to authority, and he was telling me, like, I had my tie on and I've just put my tie down here, and they'd say, your tie got to be up, and he'd say, what difference does it make to my learning if my tie's here or here? How is that going to change anything? I'm here learning, leave me alone, right? And I thought to myself, I would never say that. My response as a kid to authority was, look how perfect I am. I'm going to be perfect for you. Look, I'm going to do everything you say. See how good I am at obeying? It was the exact opposite. So my friend Jonathan had this reaction to authority like, what? I don't even understand why you're trying to make me do this. This is bullshit. I'm cool. I'm going to do what I feel is right. I wasn't connected with myself in my childhood, and maybe even to this day, to that level. And I just wanted to please the authority, whatever the authority was. I just wanted to please the authority. Wow. That was a huge, like, oh my God, I could see all of my childhood. This is how we pull back the layers of who we've become, right? And I'd seen this aspect of perfectionism a long time ago. And I'd been aware of it for even longer than that. But little by little, day by day, breath by breath, insight by insight, we start to peel back more of these layers and see deeper into the underground, undercurrent, unconscious, subconscious operating systems that are really running the show. Hey, Vinny, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Okay, so So the idea of having no goal, the idea of having our practices not be for an outcome, but just part of the way of life reminds me very much of that old Buddhist koan that we've heard. I'm sure maybe you have or you haven't heard it, but before enlightenment, I chopped wood and carried water. And after enlightenment, chop wood, carry water, right? That's the piece, that there's no goal to enlightenment, right? There's no, do you all like I do? I still have that idea, right? Of some classical sense that I'm going to be meditating or in plant medicine or breath work, and all the veils will be removed. I'll see behind everything in the inner workings of the cosmos, right? Like, yeah, well, sometimes on plant medicine, you think you see that, or maybe you do, I do, we do, right? However, integrating that idea of the truth that there's no end game, that it's infinite, that whatever I think I'm seeing on plant medicine or in breath work is just scratching the surface. It's just scratching the surface. Intelligence and consciousness is infinite. That's not a bunch of time put together. Infinite is not a bunch of time. Eternal isn't a bunch of time put together. Eternal and infinite are outside of time and space. It's outside of that paradigm. We can't even think of it because we have a sort of paradigm restriction about it. So, all right. So the topic today was no goal, no need for perfection. The idea isn't that we sit and do nothing, but the idea is that many of the things that we need to do or want to do on a regular basis. Melissa, thank you. I'm going to put that up. That was so beautiful. Many of the things that we think we need to do on a regular basis, or the things that I'd like to do to maintain all the stuff to help me, right? Like my meditation and my breath work and journaling and movement and cardio and walking in nature and playing with my dog and all that stuff. All of those things tend to fall by the wayside when life gets busy, and because they're not part of a goal. Right. And now I am really loving this idea that those are just the things that I do. That's what I do. And it takes the dogma away, and it takes the rigidity away. And dogma and rigidity never, ever, ever, ever help me. They help me for a little while, but eventually I can't maintain that level of perfection, and I falter. And then I beat myself up. Right. But from a place of, I have no goal. No need to be perfect. I just do this because this is what I do. I meditate, I pray, I move my body, I do cardio, I walk in nature, I play with my dog, I do breath work. These are the things I do, right? And so from that place, I'm not the rigidity and the dogma and the have to and the willfulness and the making it happen, which are all so egoic based, making it happen. That's exhaustible energy. When I rest in, this is what I do today, then let's say I just moved my body for 10 minutes today. I did it. I just moved my body. Let's say I couldn't do an hour meditation. I could only do 5 minutes. I did it. Consistency over intensity. Consistency over intensity was a talk that Reverend Michael gave a couple months ago, and it's a great topic. So the idea then becomes more fluid, less rigid, less dogmatic, more in the flow. And I have structure, but I'm in flow. Flocksure, right? So what else? What else is there? There were two other things that came into my mind while I was talking, and I forgot them. What do you know? I didn't make notes today. But it's so good to just connect with you. I'm so grateful. Let's see. Janice has this beautiful saying here. Great insight. Thank you, Denise. Janice, please excuse me. Divine intelligence and self-awareness. Amen. And I don't know what just happened there. Something happened with the, there we go. And Joe says, this goes back to the convo we had when I was there. Need feedback or verification. Just do it to do it. I don't know. Hard for me to do, but I get you. Okay, so here's the deal. the idea of making it happen, force, willfulness, I've got to do this, right? I've got to, there's a time for that. There's a place for that. But in terms of our spiritual practice, in terms of being in flow, that willfulness is exhaustible. It runs out. And so when I just, here's the spiritual principle. Spirit isn't rigid. Spirit isn't rigid, so neither are we. Spirit isn't rigid, so neither are we. We must be as flexible and in flow as spirit. It moves with ease and grace. Beautiful. Christopher Chamberlain just said that. Right on, brother. Ease and grace. Peas and grace. So I don't know. Let's play with this. This is a really beautiful insight around not being so dogmatic and not being so rigid, and allowing yourself to be in flow and to maintain your practices without having to be so perfect about it all the time. Because it's the perfectionism that keeps me. It's the perfectionism that ends up short-circuiting my ability to maintain the practice, right? When I'm so, I got to do it perfectly. I got to do it right. So if all of you folks out there like me that have the, I got to do it right and I got to do it perfect mentality, this is a great opportunity to get rid of the goal of perfectionism and allow yourself to just be in the practice. This is what I do, whether it's 5 minutes or an hour. This is what I do. So I'm trying, it's shifted everything for me. Try it for you. See how it works for you. See what, see if that works. Sherry, I really needed this too. Thank you so much. What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to be with you. I'm sending you all so much love and peace. And I'll be here every Thursday at 11 Pacific time, reunited, and it feels so good. Wait a minute. Reunited like I knew I would. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Jessica says playfulness has no goal except to play. I like that, Jessica. Thank you. All right, everybody. I'll see you next week. Peace and richest blessings.